in Ottawa, get us the help we need, and we said, we'll do that. So what we've done recently, and this is something I want you all to know about, is the biggest expansion of our public healthcare system in a generation. We have delivered this year dental care, starting with children under 12. Will all who need it most will get coverage. This is families that have 90,000 or less income. Children under 12 will have their dental care covered entirely by the end of this year. So that's a really big step forward. It's committed. We've fought and won the money for this. Next year, it'll expand to children under 18, seniors, and people living with disabilities. So dental care, which is so expensive, many people don't get their teeth looked after because it's so expensive. We're going to help get the coverage. So that's a big step forward. And a number of other things we included in the deal, some help for affordable housing, some work to make sure people get the help they need when it comes to living, making their life more affordable. So we're able to get some big changes. I want to wrap up by saying this. I want you to know you can count on me as leader and us as the New Democratic Party to fight for your rights, your dignity, your ability to live without fear, to live in peace. This is something that we're committed to. My friend and previous boss, Andrea Horvath, is the provincial leader. She's committed to that as well. And Wasim here, Wasim Ahmed, is one of our candidates. And I can tell you, he will be fighting as hard as possible to get your community, to get his residents in the riding of Mississauga, Malta, the help that they need. For too long, I feel like both other parties have neglected and taken for granted many communities. They just assume they're going to get your vote. And they assume that and they continue to neglect you and your families. So I just want you to know whether it's healthcare, whether it's auto insurance, whether it's making sure our kids have the best education possible. Wasim Ahmed as our candidate, Andrew Horvath as the provincial leader will deliver on those things. You've seen Brother Wasim, his activism, his contribution to the community, the way that he represents people. He will bring that same energy to Queen's Park in Toronto and fight hard for you. So I just want you to know he's got my full endorsement. I'm supporting Brother Wasim Ahmed, and I hope I can count on your support as well. But if nothing else, please vote. It's the most important thing to do is to vote. Vote for whoever you like. I would suggest the NDP, but I just encourage you all to participate. It's very important. Again, thank you so much for your kind consideration and your peaceful by those in power in Ottawa. And so it's no excuse. These are they can't blame the bureaucrats. They are instructed to do this. And so there's serious changes, brothers and sisters, that we need to do. And we're going to continue to fight. I always, maybe people have seen some videos, I've been confronted with Islamophobia my whole life. I remember when I was a kid going to the mall, Waleed would say to me, when people would say, oh, you're a Muslim terrorist, and yell at me, I'm a little kid with my friend, he'd say, I always feel so bad that they target you, you're not even a Muslim. And I said, well, Waleed, would I rather them target you, my best friend? No. So throughout my life, when I've been confronted by Islamophobia, which is many, many times, many people that are hateful are not very cultured. They don't think that they think a beard and a turban means Muslim. But anytime I've been confronted, whether it's been when I was going for leadership in the viral video where I was confronted by someone saying horrible Islamophobic things, whether it was as a kid, I've always said, whenever confronted with Islamophobia, my answer will never be, I'm not a Muslim. My answer will always be that hate is wrong, that discrimination is wrong. There's no place for that type of rhetoric, that type of those words, that way of being in our country. And most recently, what we've seen at the provincial level, I want to acknowledge the work of Andrew Horvath and the NDP. They brought forward our London Family Act, which is a bill to confront Islamophobia in Ontario, which is very important. The Conservatives have just said they're not going to support the bill, but we're not going to give up. We're going to keep on pushing forward because we need concrete changes. It's not enough for leaders to say we're denouncing this, that this is wrong. They have to also take concrete steps to change the laws, to protect Muslim communities, to make sure people are safe where they live. And so that's what we're fighting for. Just about a little bit about the deal that Brother Wasim mentioned. In the past couple of weeks, we're in a minority government in Ottawa that is not going to feature a Eid Mubarak when Ramadan finishes. As Brother Wasim mentioned, I just want to share with you a couple of ideas. First of all, this past year, the past couple of years have been very difficult for Muslims. I want to acknowledge the pain the community has gone through, the Islamophobia. I was in London at the vigil right after the horrific Islamophobic violence perpetrated against a family going for a walk. And I think a lot about that. I'm sure you thought about it as well. In the pandemic, many of the places we go with our family, with our kids, were shut down. So we all would go for walks. The only way to kind of get out and do some physical activity. Evening walks, we would see many people. And to see a family, just like us, going for a walk and not being able to make it home, specifically because they were Muslim, should never happen in our country. And it's not enough to just denounce it. We've been calling for action. One of the key things that has happened in our country, whether it's the Quebec Masjid massacre, where Muslim men in prayer were killed, gunned down, whether it was the family in London, whether it was the brother in Toronto who worked at the masjid who was knifed. In each of these cases, the Islamophobia was radicalized into people online social media. And so we know that social media platforms encourage divisive messages. We had a whistleblower from Facebook who told us our platform promotes divisive, hateful messages on purpose because it will create more dialogue, whether people agree or disagree. So we said, if that's the case, how can we let companies like Facebook regulate themselves when they purposely promote divisive messages that we know radicalize people? The biggest threat to safety in Canada comes from extremists from the right-wing extremists, white supremacist organizations. Those are the groups that are causing the most harm, but to this day, CRA targets who? Muslim organizations. MAC right now is going